Linux Commands and System Administration Bootcamp. The first section covers the course overview, which I am going through right now. Second section is about the installation of required software and accessing a Linux system. Section 3 consists of Linux fundamentals. Section 4 is an intermediate Linux skill set. Section 5 consists of software installation. Section 6 covers managing users and groups in Linux. Section 7 covers disk and volume management using LVM and Parted. Section 8 covers networking using Linux. Section 9 covers servers and services. Section 10 is the last section, which is related to shell scripting. Let's go to each section so I can show you what we are going to discuss in each section. So starting with Section 2, which is about the installation of the required software and accessing a Linux system. Install VirtualBox. Download and install CentOS Linux. Install Red Hat 8 with custom partitioning on VirtualBox. Download, install and connect through PuTTY. Different ways of accessing your Linux server. Now moving towards third section, which is about Linux fundamentals. The Linux directory structure. Basic Linux commands cd, ls, cat, pwd, and more. Listing files and understanding ls output. Changing password of an user. Finding files in your system. Introduction to VI editor. Copying directories and files. Removing directories and files. Moving and renaming directories and files. Absolute versus relative path of a directory. Creating files and directories by command line. Understanding the basic file and directory permissions. Changing file permissions. Modify file ownership for user and group. And quiz. Now let's talk about section number 4. In section 4, we will learn about intermediate level Linux skill set. It covers use of more and less command, use of head and tail commands, explanation of tab key completion, use of history command, explanation of wildcards characters, soft and hard links between files, input, output and error redirection, explanation of grep command, uses of pipe, shell aliases command, use of echo command, explanation of environment variables, connecting from one server to another, transferring and copying files over the network, counting of words, lines and characters, viewing and monitoring processes by command, schedule and automate tasks with cron, user and group administration, switching users by command line, the sudo utility, compressing and archiving files using tar and gzip, displaying and setting the host name, find your IP address in Linux, using different ways of text file manipulation by using tr, sort, diff, and unique command, cut and sort command, 32-bit versus 64-bit operating systems, finding system information using uname, DMI decode, root password recovery, explanation of source report for Red Hat troubleshooting, monitor users who, last W and ID, message of the day MOTD, and wall, and quiz. Next section is section 5. It's related to software installations. It covers software installation using yum, package management using RPM, introduction to repositories, create a local repository, system updates and preparation, rollback patches and updates, installing software in SUSE Linux using Zypper, installing software in Ubuntu, and quiz. Next section is section 6. It covers managing users and groups, user and group administration by command, create a user account with no login access, use of password command, password aging on user accounts, create, modify, and delete group accounts in Linux, activating and deactivating shadow password mechanism, user authentication files, explanation of password file, explanation of shadow file, explanation of group file, explanation of G-shadow file, switching users, the sudo utility. Next section is section 7. Section 7 covers disk and volume management using LVM and parted. Lecture covered in this section are Introduction to Partitioning in File System, Introduction to LVM, the Logical Volume Manager, Add a new disk volume through Oracle VirtualBox, Managing storage with parted, Creating physical volumes, volume groups and logical, Extending volume group and logical volumes, layering logical volumes, moving volumes data from one storage to another, removing logical volumes, volume groups and physical. Next section is section 8. Section 8 covers networking using Linux. Lecture covered in this section are network components, network classes, TCP and UDP protocols, the OSI model, ping command, network interfaces, configuration files and commands, find your IP address, add a network adapter through Oracle VM VirtualBox, NIC bonding. Next section is section 9. Section 9 covers servers and services. Lecture covered in this section are Apache Web Server, LAMP server, moving towards the last section, which is section 10, which is related to shell scripting. What is shell scripting? Naming convention for shell script, shell scripting format, how to run a shell script, basic commands used in shell scripting, creating first script, hello world, defining variable, arithmetic expressions in shell scripting, string manipulation in shell scripting, string comparisons in shell scripting, read and echo input-output statements, relational operators in shell scripting, conditional statements, decision making, case statement, for loop in shell scripting, do while in shell scripting, until loop in shell scripting, select loop in shell scripting, infinite loops, and sleeping, exit status in shell scripting, special variables in shell scripting, and quiz. This course covers all the sections to learn Linux commands and system administration bootcamp.